Good morning on my behalf as well. As Rene introduced, Cinia is a Finnish-based company. We're actually commercially operating company, though majority owned by state of Finland. We are operating on basically three business lines: network connectivity services, critical software development services, and cybersecurity services. And now, of course, this Arctic Connect submarine cable system project that we have been promoting already for years is predominantly, let's say, taking or in the field of network connectivity services and definitely also in the cybersecurity services. So I'm happy to give you an update of the project here. And thank you, Rene, and the rest of the arranging team for an opportunity to make this introduction of our very dear project. So click if you go forward to the next slide. So the route for the Arctic Connect is basically drawn here. So majority of the route, or at least more than half of the route, is going through the Arctic Sea region from the Barents Sea, from the left side, from the northern part of Europe. The planned landing station or landings are actually in Kirkenes Bay in Norway, and then going through the Arctic Sea about 6,500 kilometers from Barents to the Bering Strait, and then down to Pacific Ocean, and the planned base route is actually landing in Japan. The primary plan at the moment is to land in Tokyo, probably some alternative landings in Japan as well. And then we are, of course, having some of the landings in the Russian continent here are just optional. So basically the only landings on the Russian side in the system are in Murmansk area on the European side, and in Vladivostok area on the Asian side, and then probably in Anadyr for the powering purposes. Click for the next on the next slide. Thank you. So as we all know, and as also Rene and Philip already stated, there is a huge growth in all sort of digital content throughout the world, and particularly one of the routes which or one of the routes where the growth is let's say well above the average is actually the route between Europe and Asia. The present main route for the traffic between these two large areas is actually either by the southern submarine route going from Mediterranean to Indian Ocean, and then basically to the southern part of Asia, or even more or much more of the traffic is going through the transatlantic cable systems, and then over the North America, and then again through Trans-Pacific cable systems. So I would say by our estimations, clear majority of the traffic between Europe and Asia today travels through North America. It's an inexpensive route, but it is a long route, and therefore we see that there is a clear need and demand for alternative new routes, faster routes, and also alternative routes to create resilience, redundancy. Look for the next page, please. As said, this route between through the Arctic Ocean would definitely be a completely new part of the global network architecture. That is something that has not been there yet, but there is an opportunity with a relatively short cable system to connect three continents, Europe, Asia, and North America. The distances between continents are shortest closer to the pole. So the distance between Northern Europe and Northern North America, as well as Northern Asia, is by far shorter by traveling through the Arctic Sea than by traveling through the traditional routes, which are closer to equator. So the route from the northern part of Europe down to Tokyo would be just over 10,000 kilometers. And as said, the length of the system and therefore the round trip delay and latency of the data traffic is one of the advantages for this route. But I would say that at least as important is the reliance and redundancy that is bringing to the global network architecture. So this new route definitely is increasing the cybersecurity of the overall global network, and therefore, of course, also the European connectivities. The project itself is completely commercial. Of course, all sort of aid and support from the public sector is welcome. And of course, naturally, it is also serving public sector customers. And we are extremely grateful for Nordunet's indication of interest to this route by an inform of letter of intent in early this year. Next slide, please. The system is designed to consist of 3 subsystems out of which 2 are in the base system. The base system consists of 1 international subsystem from Europe to Asia, and another subsystem which is serving mainly Russian domestic purposes, connecting the western part of Russia to the eastern part of Russia. Next, the system itself is, and then there is an additional opportunity to expand it also to have and consist of other subsystem connecting North America to both to the Asian end of the international system as well as the European end of the international system. The overall design, the size of the system is designed to be 12 fiber pairs, out of which 10 would be serving the international purposes and 2 for the Russian domestic purposes. Next one, please. The project is basically conforming 3 stages. We are well in the design phase now. We are making the technical plan and technical design. We are attracting customers as Nordunet and several others in the world as well. Same time attracting also investors and creditors. We are making desktop studies to find the best possible route for the cable. We are doing even offshore studies. Most of the offshore studies will be part of the second phase, which is a construction phase, but we also already started some of the seabed surveys during last navigational season, going through the Arctic Sea from the Barents Sea to the Bering Strait, and having the preliminary seabed survey done. We are, of course, also communicating with possible construction vendors. There isn't too many companies in the world who are experienced in constructing this type of submarine cable, but fortunately there is alternatives, and we have a very close negotiations and discussions and planning sessions with more or less all of the potential vendor candidates as well. The next phase will be then the construction phase. Basically, the present plan is to enter into the construction phase in year 2022, and then the construction with let's say preliminary seabed surveys, and then eventually the construction of the cable system itself and cable lay as well would take us to 24-25, when the operation of the cable system would then start. That is even stated in the next slide. So Erik, if you click to the next slide. So of course there has been already a lot of development work and study work done prior to 2019, but in 2019 we actually signed a preliminary contract with a Russian-based operator, the second biggest operator in Russia, called Megafon. Memorandum of understanding was actually signed in June 2019, and basically in that MOU we agreed to establish a development company which was established last year. The companies owning the development company is Cine Alliance and Megafon. In the Cine Alliance we have companies from Norway, Finland, Japan, and this development company's purpose is actually to bring the project to the phase where we are fully bankable and ready to start the construction investment. So this year is a busy year for negotiations with potential customers as well as funding sources. We probably also continue with our marine survey this year as well, but particularly next year we'll be busy with the marine survey, and hopefully then also already we can launch the cable manufacturing next year, and then do the route construction and also landing site construction works in 23-24. So that's the present time plan. Click, Erik. Of course, when we are saying that we are landing or planning to land in Barents Sea coastline in Norway, there isn't too much of a customers there. Of course, some very important customers there as well, but we need to bring the traffic down to the rest of the Europe, and therefore we also have initiated a project called Terrestrial Backbone Finland, bringing the connection from the Arctic Sea shore down to major hubs in Europe, through Finland, of course through Sweden and Norway as well. There is also a plan for an additional submarine cable system in Baltic Sea called Sea Lion 2. There is already a submarine system called Sea Lion 1, which is from southern Finland to northern Germany, built by Cinia about 5 years ago. That starts to be full employed, and therefore we are planning to implement a new south-north direction cable system in Baltic Sea. Baltic Sea is, if not the only, at least one of the few inner seas of EU. So therefore, it's of course not only serving the transit purposes of Europe, Asia, but also the kind of regional purposes and regional requirements of Northern Europe. And then basically as a handover to Kimmo to present a project called Lumi, which is a Europe high-performance computing system that would of course be by our route as well, and serving the connectivity requirements of that system. So thank you very much for your attention, and handing over back to René, and then through René to Kimmo, I suppose.